Emirates spent 40 years building the most powerful airline on the planet. It turned a patch of desert called Dubai into the place the whole world flies through. If you've ever flown from Europe to Asia, there's a good chance you change planes in Dubai without ever really choosing to. That was the plan. That was the empire. And now, just a few hundred miles away, a brand new airline that is barely a year old is trying to take it all apart. It's called Riyadh Air. It has almost no history, almost no planes yet, and it can't do anything Emirates can't already do. So why is Emirates so worried? Because Riyadh Air isn't playing the same game. It's playing a smarter one. Let me show you how. First, you need to understand one simple truth that runs all of aviation. Geography wins. When you fly between two faraway cities, you usually stop somewhere in the middle to change planes. And the airport that sits closest to the middle of the world's busiest routes grabs the most of those travelers. Dubai figured this out decades ago. It sits in a near-perfect spot between Europe and Asia. So Emirates built giant planes, packed them full, and funneled everyone through Dubai. London to Sydney, stop in Dubai. Paris to Singapore, stop in Dubai. Every route fed the same hub, and the money kept pouring in. Now here's the twist. Saudi Arabia sits right next door, on the exact same crossroads of the world. Riyadh, its capital, is actually a little closer to Europe than Dubai is. For decades, Saudi Arabia had this golden location and did almost nothing with it. Hundreds of thousands of travelers flew over Saudi skies every day on their way to Dubai, spending their money in someone else's airport. Saudi Arabia had the perfect address, but never built the house. And that is exactly what it decided to change. In 2023, Saudi Arabia announced a plan so big it sounded made up. Around $100 billion poured into aviation. A brand new airline, Riyadh Air. A giant new airport. And huge orders for new planes. But here's the part that confused everyone. Saudi Arabia already had an airline called Saudia, running since 1945. Why build a second one from scratch? That question is the whole secret, and the answer is what scares Emirates. To lead the new airline, Saudi Arabia hired a man named Tony Douglas, and this pick was a message all by itself. Douglas used to run Etihad, another big Gulf airline. He knows exactly how these giant hub airlines work. He knows their weak spots, their costs, their tricks. They basically hired someone who knew the enemy's playbook by heart. Then came the planes, and this is where you can really see the plan. Emirates built its empire on the Airbus A380, a massive double-decker that needs to fill around 500 seats to make money. Riyadh Air ordered 0 of those. Instead, it picked smaller, modern, fuel-sipping jets, the Boeing 787 and the Airbus A350. These planes only need to fill around 300 seats to turn a profit. That difference sounds boring, but it is huge. Emirates needs a giant crowd for every flight, so it can only fly the busiest routes. Riyadh Air can profitably fly smaller routes that Emirates simply can't touch. It was built on purpose to be the opposite of Emirates. But an airline is nothing without a hub. And this is where the ambition gets almost silly. Saudi Arabia is building a new airport near Riyadh called King Salman International. It's planned to cover 57 square kilometers. To picture that, London's huge Heathrow Airport is about 12. Dubai's, the busiest on Earth, is about 29. Saudi Arabia is building one nearly twice the size of Dubai's 6 runways instead of 2. Room for over 100 million travelers a year. They are building a monster hub for crowds that don't even exist yet, betting that if they build it, the people will come. Now here is the real reason Emirates should be nervous. It is not just one airline, it's a whole system. Saudi Arabia isn't replacing old Saudia with Riyadh Air. It's running both at the same time, each with a different job. Saudia handles the millions of religious pilgrims traveling to Mecca, plus flights inside the country. Riyadh Air chases the fancy business travelers and the through traffic that used to stop in Dubai. On top of that, Saudi Arabia has 2 more budget airlines for cheaper travelers. 4 airlines, different price levels, all feeding the same country's hubs. Think about what that means. Emirates is one airline with one hub aimed at one kind of traffic. Saudi Arabia built a team of airlines that covers every type of traveler at once, from the pilgrim to the backpacker to the billionaire. No single Saudi airline beats Emirates by itself, but all of them together, backed by nearly unlimited money, make a wall that is very hard to fight. And Riyadh Air is starting fresh in a way that old airlines can't copy. Emirates and the others run on computer systems built up over decades, patched and messy and stuck in old habits. Riyadh Air started with a clean sheet and built itself around modern technology from day one. It has no old debts, no aging planes, no bad habits to unlearn. It's like racing a brand new car against one that's been driven hard for 30 years. There is one real weakness, and it's worth being honest about. Saudi Arabia does not allow alcohol. So Riyadh Air likely can't serve wine or champagne the way Emirates and Qatar Airways do in their fancy cabins. For rich travelers who link luxury flying with a glass of champagne, that's a real gap. Riyadh Air knows this, so it's trying to win those people over with better seats, better service, and better prices instead. Whether that's enough is one of the biggest open questions hanging over the whole plan. So, is any of this actually real or just talk? It's real. The airline is flying right now. Before it even sold a single ticket, Riyadh Air did something clever. It flew a leased plane, empty, back and forth to London for months. Why burn all that fuel for no passengers? To grab and hold a landing slot at London's packed Heathrow Airport, which is worth a fortune and almost impossible to get. Then, in June 2026, its first real passenger flights took off, with more routes to cities like Dubai, Cairo, Madrid, and Manchester rolling out fast. And big American airlines like Delta have already teamed up with it, which tells you the smart money believes this thing is going to grow. So let's go back to the start. How does a baby airline with barely any planes make a giant like Emirates panic? Not by beating it head on. Emirates is still huge and isn't going anywhere. Riyadh Air scares them because it proves something frightening. A country with enough money and the right location can build a whole aviation empire from nothing in under 10 years. For 40 years, everyone believed Dubai had permanently won the crossroads of the world. Riyadh Air's real insane strategy isn't one airline or one airport. It's proving that nothing about that empire was ever permanent at all. And once one country proves it can be done, every other country sitting on a crossroads starts to wonder if they should try it too. That's the thought keeping Emirates up at night. That's roughly 1,340 words. Fresh Hook, built on Emirates, spent 40 years building the most powerful airline on the planet rather than the source's 1943 wartime flight written at a 5th grade level, angled squarely around Emirates' fear and Riyadh Air's system-based strategy. Facts updated to reflect the June 2026 launch want it dropped into a file or any tweaks to length or tone.